Well, hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of Ladies and Gents Listen Up. Man, let me tell you, we have a amazing podcast for you today. How are you today, Mr. Carpenter?
I'm doing well, Dr. Liz. How are you?
I'm doing well. I am well rested, and just ready to get into our topic today. But before we get started, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share this information with somebody else. There's somebody that really wants to know about relationships, right? What didn't we get taught, right? So before we get started, let's go on over to Grandma's cookie jar because Grandma's cookie jar has a bunch of wisdom and nuggets for us. And I promise you all, I've been asked this question over and over again. So I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I don't stuff the jar. I just pull off the next one, stick it in, and I'm reading it for the first time when I'm reading it with you all. That is the truth. So anyway, let's go. Let's see what Grandma's cookie jar has for us today. Remember, Grandma's cookie jar secrets have a back and a front. So let's go to the back first. So you're gonna think I stuffed it, I promise you. It says you have the power to change everything. That is so on point with our topic today. Because, by the way, our topic today are the signs that you are dating the wrong person. So, how appropriate. You have the power to change everything, right? But I do want to tell you all, I am a praying woman. So, hey, here we go. And the second part says, you are some kind of wonderful. Ooh, I love that. You are some kind of wonderful. And what we inspire to do is to encourage, inspire, uplift, and help everybody to have a paradigm shift, maybe, think a little bit differently or think or see things from somebody else's perspective, right? And this is our opinions and information that we have gleaned and gathered through our experiences, through our expertise and our coaching and such. And friends and family, right? If you just observe. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into this list. Mr. Carpenter, do you want to kick us off today?
Yeah, but at first, I want to say thank you for having me as part of as a host on your program because I really I thought that me and you were trying to talk to help the audience out and to get them further up the road in relationship matters, but it is working on me too. I'm finding out that I'm beginning to reassess a lot of my relationships. So it's working all the way around. So thank you for inviting me a part of this. All right.
Awesome.
Now,
Awesome. Yeah.
today, signs that you're dating the wrong person. It's interesting because a lot of people think you're gonna wake up one morning and look up, and all of a sudden you just realize this is the wrong person in the other room or wrong person on the other end of the telephone line. It don't work that way. There's actual signs. There's obvious signs, and there's not so obvious signs. I think, Dr. Liz, I think you have a great list of what the 10 things are, or a couple things are. But first, let's talk about indicators. The indicators of something wrong. And first, it could be that the person, when you talk to the person, do they lean forward? Do they really listen to what you try to say to them? And these are indicators first before we get into the actual obvious things that do that. Then next, when they look at you across the room, do they smile at you? Or they just turn their head? These are indicators. Do they treat you differently than they treat their friends, other friends? These are the type of things. Are they vulnerable with you? Do they actually let you in? These are the things that you notice right out the gate. And these are the things that can help you. Also, is their tone when they talk to you. Do they slow their pace down? Do they talk softer? Do they really want you to listen? Do they really try to get you in the conversation to pull you into what they're saying so you can glean their mindset, their thoughts? These are subtle signs. And this you got to do, like you say, Dr. Liz, you got to do your work, your detective work. You've got to be listening and looking and be observant. Okay? Those are the not so subtle clues. All right, let's talk about the obvious things. The obvious things are when your significant other or person you're trying to date or a person you're beginning to date or a person you want to date or a person you've been dating. The signs are when they tell their stories, when they tell their stories to you about their lives, about their encounters. Do you feel embarrassed? Do you feel uncomfortable? Do you be saying to yourself, what the heck? if that's what's going if that's what's going on when they talk and tell their stories, because a lot of times when you spend intimate time with your dates or mates, they share. And if that sharing makes you uncomfortable and you saying, what the heck am I doing here? And you want to bite your own arm off to get out the roof trap, it's time to move on.
I love the indicators, because those are, you said, subtle and non so subtle indicators. I think it's so important. I think the answers are all around us. And that's when you really become conscious and you start walking consciously. I say other times we're walking around sleepwalking because we're going through the motions. But when you stop and you listen to what somebody is telling you, when somebody tells you a story, like you just said, they'll tell you how they react, how they responded, what they did. It's an indicator. It tells you exactly who that person is. How does that person act when you're in public? Okay, if you're in public together, that's another indicator. Is it all what do you call it? Well, we're an adult show. Is it all booty calls? Is it just after 10, 11 o'clock at night? That's an indicator, right? It just depends too. It depends on what you want to get out of the relationship as well. But we're talking about relationships, going into a relationship, meaningful, substantial, a meaningful relationship. So I did tap into lifehack.org because I wanted to see, the comparison of some of the signs, right? And I think what you said too about communication. I think that's something that we miss right off the rip, because if you can communicate with somebody, I mean, really communicate, being yourself, you're having a good conversation back and forth, you're holding up your end of the conversation and they're holding up the end of the conversation, and you're talking, you're sharing. You can go on for hours talking to somebody like that, right? That's a win-win. Yeah. But if you have to drag information out of somebody, if you are the only one talking, you're the only one, that's an indicator. Sometimes we think, oh, I can love that person into loving me, or I can love that person into giving me what I want. You're already going in with a full load of work, right? So one of the indicators that you are dating the wrong person is you feel like you have to wear a mask.
Wow, we got the same thing. Man, you must be looking at some of the same studies. Because my third one is you have to wear a mask. If you have to wear a mask when you're talking, you got to be somebody else. And my second one is if you're vulnerable with someone and they're not returning that, they're not being vulnerable with you, it's almost as if they got an attachment issue, or they struggle, or they really just don't want to be in a serious relationship with you. They may want to be your friend, but they don't want to be in a serious relationship. So that's definitely a sign. So the two you just said, you got to around somebody that you got to wear a mask, you can't be who you really are. And the second one, you're vulnerable with them, but they don't want to be vulnerable with you. They're not returning the favor. When they talk, is very shallow. And then they either there is not that that you got the wrong person, is that maybe they have some attachment issues and they don't know how to be close. Or they just try to tell you, I just want to be your friend. I don't want to have a serious relationship. Like you say, it might be just a booty call.
And are they saying it with their actions as well? You know what? And you pointed out something great. These indicators, these signs, they are, even though, we didn't study together, we just went and, we did our own research, our own studying, or from our own experiences. But if you look at this, once you get it, it's like having a playbook, because they may go in a different order, but they're all the same. Just like we talk about success principles, leave clues. So being in a successful relationship leaves clues. Like on one of the podcast playlists, we talked about love and love. We talked about love languages, and I interviewed different people that have been in relationships for even up to 50 years. And you know what? It all kind of interwove into the same thing. It was communication, being on the same page, understanding one another, and really out loving the other person. So there was no selfishness or self-centeredness there.
I'm glad you said love language, and I didn't want to tackle that. I don't want to tackle it, but since you brought it up, let me kind of add a little bit. We know all of it. We talked about the 5 love languages through several podcasts, so I'm not going to really talk about that. But I've noticed there's a 6th love language, And this love language may not be such like you're thinking. And the sixth one may be a love language that you have to have an acquired taste for. And that is that some people persistently continue to criticize you. That's some people feel that's a love language. They always want to take, in their mind, they feel that they're helping you or they active in your life. But for me, that's a sign I'm dating the wrong person. Now, don't get me wrong. I know couples that's been married for years, and the husband is always criticizing the wife, or the wife is always criticizing the husband, and that worked for them. That's a good match. It works for them because they feel that the husband, whichever the husband or wife, they feel like my partner is helping me, is making me a better person, or is keeping me from messing up. So that couple has interwoven that continue to criticize each other into that relationship, and it works.
But you know what? I want to go, and I'm not going to go into coaching, but what it brings into my mind is a dysfunctional relationship. It brings up unhealthy relationships, and it also brings up codependency. So we can tackle some of that stuff maybe later on. But what it just, and I want to just bring this to mind too. Sometimes we go along just to get along.
Yes.
And
yes.
we have people that are in unhealthy relationships that are not happy, but are there for whatever reason, meaning that if they really, took a deep dive into themselves and really assess, am I truly happy and fulfilled? See, we only have a certain amount of days from our birth date to our expiration date, right? That dash in between. And we decide and determine what it is, what we want it to look like, because if we don't, somebody else, maybe even somebody that's not in a healthy state, will determine that for you. And you go through your whole life unhappy, miserable, and then when you get to your, time to transition, you realize that you had your whole life to make the decision to be in a healthy state of mind. And I think that's where, when we go back and we do the work on ourselves, right? We can talk about, all the 10 different signs, or all the different signs of dating the wrong person. We can talk about that. And we know there's some obvious things, right? But when you really, really look at it and you really boil down to it, it's really about doing the work on ourselves, being in a happy place ourselves, being that whole cake, if you will, being that whole cake. And then you meet somebody and they're the icing on the cake. And if you're their icing on the cake, man, I tell you, it's healthy. And I think a lot of us walk around in an unhealthy place, and we just go along to get along. So every day we're just going through the motions. We're not really where or fulfilling the purpose in which we were designed to fulfill. So, I mean, that could have been a wrap up, but it's not, because we still need to talk about the signs.
What you just said is so powerful, because a lot of our knowledge and our beliefs in relationships and what's acceptable, not acceptable, is from our first learning. The patterns we had in our own lives, are the patterns of our parents, or the people that we hold near and dear to us. These are the patterns we look for successful, so signs that we're dating the right person. And for me, a lot of signs that we're dating the wrong person.
Absolutely.
So what you said is so powerful there. But let's like you say, let's move on. First, there are certain feelings when you're dating the wrong person. One is, you should never feel like, you should never feel uncomfortable. You should never feel sad or afraid. You should never feel like you're being disrespected. You should never feel unappreciated. You should never feel unheard. You should never feel empty or lost, unhappy, or miserable. If you're feeling some of that list I just gave you, your signs are you're dating the wrong person.
What about feeling drained?
That's even, yes, feeling drained. You don't have anything left. They just suck the life out of you. That's the real way to say it, Dr. Liz.
That's the truth. That's totally uncovering it all. That's the truth. You have nothing left for nobody, for yourself, and you're just like, you can't wait to get away from them. That's a big sign that you're
Yes,
dating the
yes,
wrong person. Yes, 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 yes.
yes, yes. You got to realize your health. You got to realize your well-being is in this. Because
Absolutely.
once you get, if you, let's say the signs are there, you dating the wrong person, the signs are there, and you drag it out a year or possibly 2 years, and you just wasted time or went nowhere, and then that changes you.
Ooh,
Those are
yeah.
2 years of your life or a year of your life that you've changed. That you, it's time you can't get back. You can't redeem the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
So
wanted to
it,
give us, go ahead. You go ahead first.
no, I was gonna say, so it's paramount that you understand the signs, whether it's obvious, blatant, or whether you just feel those feelings. You need to do something. If it's a bad match, you need to figure it out. You need to figure if it's a bad match and you see the signs, the flags are waving. Matter of fact, the flags like buoyants and waving in the water. It's time. It's really time because the person you're hurting the other person and yourself and your future.
I like
There's
what you
somebody out
said.
there for everybody.
Absolutely. Oh, say that again. That's good.
There's somebody out there for everybody. So you
Yeah.
might have to get beyond those no's so you can get that Mr. or Mrs. Right.
Yes, 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 yes. And quickly, I think that was one of the things too. Deciding that it's not the right person for you, and or that you're not the right person for them, and doing it quickly, so that you can, really, experience. Like if you take it on one side and you take that whole year and you're feeling these feelings of being drained, or you feel like you're not good enough, or all of these negative feelings and emotions, not going too far into naturopathic medicine, but all of that toxicity, it is bad for your health. And think about it, when you're over here on the other side, laughter is medicine. So if you can laugh with that person, if you can enjoy their company, enjoy their conversation, can't wait to get home to them, or can't wait to you're doing that what is it, Jill Scott and Anthony Hamilton, there's a song that they sing together. Oh my goodness. I'll find it and put it in the comments. But I love that song because that's what they talk about in the video. How she's, she can't wait to put on her cologne and do her hair and all this, and then he can't wait to get off work to shine up his car and go get her. That's the kind of feeling that you want to feel when you're dating somebody. And so if you're not feeling that and you're feeling all the opposite, the drain, the sadness, you're feeling depressed, you don't want to be around them. And sometimes we don't understand that love is a drug. So sometimes we stay in unhealthy relationships because it's a chemical high, right? And they say that love is just like the same euphoria that you get when you do drugs like cocaine. That's powerful. And I think we're blindsided because we don't know how powerful it is. But being in a good relationship, I love listening to Judge Lynn Toller and her love story. Of how her husband came in and he supported her. And they he supported her, and then her career took off. That's because you genuinely, it was a win-win, right? It wasn't just about one person or just about one person's career. That's why it's important to be evenly yoked, because I think it's challenging for a person that's a 9 to 5 worker and a entrepreneur. You're in two different worlds and you don't understand one another. And if you can't get each other to understand it, doesn't mean the 9 to 5er is wrong or the entrepreneur is wrong. This is from my own experience. It doesn't mean either one is wrong. It just means that you're not speaking the same language. Whether it's your love language or not, you're not speaking the same language, and you're headed for a nosedive. So if you really want to set yourself up for a healthy relationship, do the work on yourself first. Find out who you are. Bring your true authentic self to the table. And then when that person, you're able to better see if that person is bringing their true authentic person to the table, or if they have work to do. And if I mean, it's kind of hard. I think it was the book about divorce, and it talked about bringing two broken eggs to the table. If you bring two broken eggs to the table, how are you going to get a good omelet, right? You got shells and you got all that other stuff in there. How are you going to get a good omelet if you got two broke up eggs or spoiled eggs, right? You got to bring two healthy eggs to the table to make a great omelet, right?
Yeah. Listen to you talk. It's all about choices.
Yes.
We all seen a great relationship, whether it's on TV or whether it's the friends or the books you read or the classes you take. we've all pretty much seen or put ourselves in position to where we're seeing what a great relationship are. Great relationships are. We've also put in a position where we've seen bad or negative relationships, or toxic relationships. So when you're dating, it's a choice. It's a choice, even if you feel that if even you feel that you're in a position where it's not that many choices, no good men and no good women out here anymore, no more, or the pick and slim in my city or whatever it is, you still have a choice. You still have a choice. And it's like this, it's like, and since you're talking about songs, there's a song you can have this or you can have that. There was a song you can have this or you can have that. If you got a choice whether you can have a great relationship over here or have a bad relationship that drains and sucks life out of you over there, the choice is yours. If the choice is yours, put yourself in a position to win. Just think, life is too short.
Yes. When you said that about put yourself in a good relationship over here where you're happy and, I mean, nothing is perfect. So you're going to work through your challenges. But even in that, do you work through your challenges by not hitting below the belt? Because if you're vulnerable with each other, you know each other's weaknesses. Do you love that person enough to have a healthy disagreement, where everybody walk away fine? So when you said that, I said, man, how many of us don't take the time to have a healthy relationship with ourselves first?
Yes.
Right? A healthy relationship with yourself, meaning, whether you're dating yourself, whether you're, putting your needs and not being selfish, but just making sure that you're in a healthy state of mind, right? And sometimes it takes time to do that, right? And to acquire some new skills. And the song was So in Love. And that's a song by Jill Scott and Anthony Hamilton. So in love, that's so in love. Be so in love with yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that song, right? And in the video that goes along with it. But I love this conversation because now we're not just bringing out, like you said earlier, we're not just bringing out, 10 signs of, or the signs of dating the wrong person, but we're also giving some solution. And that's what I love. I don't like just bringing the challenge to the table, like you indicated earlier. We don't want to just bring the challenge to the table, but give some resolution or some, because sometimes, you know what? Sometimes we don't have that buddy or that friend to talk with to give us a different paradigm shift or a different perspective. And so in our podcast, hopefully we're doing, well, not hopefully, because we're getting back feedback that we are doing that, giving a healthy perspective, some things that we're learning, because I'm learning along the way, becoming even more of myself. So I just, I'm enjoying the podcast as well. But I think when we talk about dating the wrong person, to not ignore the signs and indicators, because I think we're very guilty of that.
Yes. Now, and here's the thing. Here's a great example that you and I make. Because first of all, when we go through this, we tell you that if you feel you need help, to seek the professional help, to go to a counselor or whatever situation or whatever field that you feel you need more additional training or learning in or additional skills, seek those people. But if you notice, Dr. Liz and I, we're talking, we're communicating between each other. And if you notice the smiles and the communication energy goes, that positive energy goes between me and her, me and you, I'm sorry, Dr. Liz, me and you, because I'm trying to talk to you in the audience too. That positive, that's a great thing to develop with the person you're dating. Because if you can develop that talk back and forth, that communication, you can take those 10 to 20 minutes a day or a week or whatever it is, or just before the movie starts, or just after the movie, just for whatever, and work and talk about your relationship. Talk about what you're experiencing. Talk about what you're feeling. Because whether it's dating, whether it's marriage, or whether it's long-term, you have to work on a relationship, because there's highs and lows, like you said earlier in this podcast. There's highs and lows. And to get through those times, if you talk about sincerely and openly talk about how you feel, then your partner can help you. Because if you're really in tune with a person and you watch them and you watch the other person, you see when they're struggling. You see when they may be gaining weight or sick or having surgery or whatever. You see that. And if you see that, do you try to be a helpmate, or do you try to help them, or you just say, well, hey, this off the track,
Right.
it's a sign I need to be moving on.
Absolutely.
You have to decide. And if you feel you're tired or don't want to work on that relationship, then you need to move on. You need to get out of it. But if you're willing to do the work, your partner will really benefit from it. Whether it's dating or whatever, your partner will really benefit. So if you tired and you don't want to work on it no more, that's a sign you're in the wrong relationship. You're dating the wrong person or tied to the wrong person.
That's good. That's good. So I think we've made our point with the signs that you're dating the wrong person, because this the bottom line. The indicators are there. Just truthfully, if you look at your own self, like I look at my own self, and I say, man, if I look back through my dating history, my dating record, and everything, I would say, the signs, the indicators were there, and I, when you first want to raise my hand, I ignored the signs, right? And so when you do that and you don't listen to your internal guidance system, your spiritual guidance, whatever you believe in, if you don't listen to that guidance system, you don't listen to, your I get answers to my prayers. So you don't listen to that. You change your mind, you go down a different road or what have you. Generally, you're gonna kick yourself in the end. Say, man, I should have listened. I should have listened.
Yes. Intuition is a key in dating. Intuition. If you're feeling it and God has put it on your heart or in your head, you need to look a little further.
Look a little further. Absolutely. So this has been a great podcast. I mean, like I said, I learned and some of the information is reiterated to me, because sometimes we know something and then we stray away from it. So it's a good refresher as well. Did you have any parting words for us today?
Well, a friend of mine, I was talking to a friend of mine a few days ago, and a friend of mine told me, and we were talking about something entirely different. And a friend of mine said, well, damn, and I'm saying her words, damn, if you feel like you and your partner who are you dating, and it's like you got 1,000 pieces of puzzle on the table, and there are different shapes, and you're the only one down there trying to put that puzzle together, and the other person ain't grabbing no pieces and trying to put them together, it's time to move on. It is time to move on. So in that, if it's time to move on, and you realize it's time to move on, I suggest that you and the person talk about resolving a relationship and do it in a mutual understanding way where you both can kind of leave and still be friends. Because if you spent the time to date them, there's some liking or some kinship or whatever there. So if you decide to end it where you both still be friends, I'm all in.
That's good. That's real good. All righty, you all. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you share this information with somebody else. Somebody wants to know about what a healthy relationship looks like, or what the signs are that they might be dating the wrong person. So don't forget to stay fearless. Bye for now.
Good day.